You know the parable of the talents as recorded in Matthew 25. Jesus was speaking to his disciples not long before he was arrested and condemned to death. The Gospel records it like this. The kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by the story of a man going on a long trip. He called together his servants and entrusted his money to them while he was gone. To one, he gave 5 bags of silver or talents, to another 2 bags of silver or talents, and to the third 1 bag of silver or a talent to the last, dividing it in proportion to their abilities. Then he left to go on his trip. Now the servant who received the 5 talents began to invest the money, and he earned 5 more. The servant with 2 talents also went to work and earned 2 more. But the servant who received just 1 talent dug a hole in the ground, and he hid the master's money. Now after a long time, their master returned from his trip, and he called them to give an account of how they had managed, how they had used his money. The servant to whom he had entrusted the 5 talents, or 5 bags of silver, came forward with 5 more and said, Master, you gave me 5 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 5 more. The master was full of praise. Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount, so now I will give you many, many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together. The servant who had received just the 2 bags of silver came forward and said, Master, you gave me 2 bags of silver to invest, and I've earned 2 more. The master said, Well done. You are a good and faithful servant. You've been faithful in handling this small amount of money, so now I will give you many, many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together. Then the servant with just 1 bag of silver came and said, Master, I know that you are a harsh man. You harvest crops that you didn't plant. You gather crops where you didn't cultivate and sow. I was afraid I would lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. Look, here's your money back. But the master replied, Oh, you wicked and lazy servant, if you knew that I harvested crops that I didn't plant and gathered crops that I didn't cultivate and sow, why didn't you deposit the money at least in the bank? I could have gotten interest from that. Then he ordered, Take the money from this servant and give it to the one with the 10 bags of silver. To those who use well what they are given, even more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But those who do nothing, even what little they have, well, it will be taken away. Now, to some of us, this sounds a bit harsh. We want to be careful with what we've been given. We want to look after it. And I remember as a young boy listening in on a conversation between a couple of very mature men. This had been the message in church just the day before. And I remember one man saying to the other, I don't think that's fair. But listen, God has equipped us for the task that he has called us to. We are called to use what we have and to use it wisely and to build upon that which we have been given. The truth is, if we dig a hole in the ground and bury what we've been given, it will be of little value to anyone. Who will benefit? I remember a true story about a fellow I knew once who bought a farm, and he went out one of his first jobs to plough a paddock, and he hadn't gone all that far when he hit a stump that was buried beneath the surface of the ground. Oh, he muttered to himself as he hopped off of his old tractor to look at his broken plough. But then as he looked a little more closely, he was amazed to see that there was enough money there buried beneath that stump that actually paid for his farm. Whoever buried their treasure well, it was of not much value to them, little use to them. Someone else had the benefit. Now, we're given talents, be it in the forms of abilities or even money, not just to use for ourselves, but to make a difference and to point to Jesus. Jesus once said in Matthew 6, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." In a nutshell, we're called to faithfulness. How are you going with this aspect of your life and your faith? In reality, it's not about me. Rather, it is about what I'm called to be and to do. Be generous. The disciples asked for an increase in faith. We can too. It's worth thinking about. Have a wonderful week. You're blessed to be a blessing.